This is Adriana Bates. Police say she was reported missing on June 10th and was last seen on Fresh Wind Avenue in East Charlotte. If you know where she is, call Crime Stoppers.
I-40 near the North Carolina state line remains closed this morning after a massive mudslide and a lot of flooding. Right now, Tennessee transportation teams are on the site surveying the damage as we speak and assessing how long the interstate is going to stay closed. We'll be following the latest updates live all morning over on WCNC Plus.
Good Thursday morning. Dr. Susan Nichols has been named the principal here at Audrey Kell High School for the coming year. And now some parents are still upset about her appointment, which was revealed in a YouTube video, because they say the district continues to have a lack of transparency about its process. Dr. Nichols is replacing Jamie Brooks, who retired recently. A lot of the stuff that happened with Dr. Brooks was not made public by CMS, and CMS says that they can't because it's a personnel issue. Parents, for their part, continue to say they don't trust the district because of a lack of transparency.
Today, communities nationwide will gather to celebrate Juneteenth. The national holiday means some businesses will be closed. That includes the U.S. Post Office, most banks and government buildings. And for those who typically get their trash picked up today, those services will resume tomorrow.
All right, not seeing any major impacts for you this morning, but it's one of those days where your morning commute is pretty, but later on in the afternoon and evening, watch for those showers and storms. Take it easy on those roads. We're going to be looking at LaSalle Street and Newcastle Street, where we do have that one ongoing wreck. And then again, out there on Highway 49, just take it easy there at Cameron Commons Parkway.
Yeah, and backing up what Majestic said, 2 to 6, I think, is where most of the storms are rolling through our area. Hopefully you avoid them, but it's likely that you're going to see at least one. 90 degrees tomorrow, and then boom, into the upper 90s next week. Get ready.
And the news doesn't end here. We're live all morning long with breaking news, weather, and traffic.
Just head over to WCNC Plus.
Streaming live right now at 7 a.m. here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Megan Bragg. A live look at Uptown. Another hot day ahead. Chris has the weather impact forecast.
All right, let's get ready. Who's ready for the Thursday? Here's what's going on. We have a dry morning, chance for storms in the afternoon, but then a big time change behind a cold front will lead to our best day of the week. I'm getting ahead of myself. Focusing in on the morning, it is just one of those kind of Home Alone faces, like, oh no, it's muggy again in the morning. Or you might have a frowny face as well. So that moisture is definitely prevalent today. That'll eventually lead to some storm fuel a little bit later on. But these values are about to come down. Check out our dew point forecast. You're going to see a big drop in this level before it starts to come back up heading into the weekend. So enjoy the dip while we have it. Our current temperatures right now, we have gained 1 degree around Mecklenburg County from 74 to 75, 73 now in Lincolnton, and then 69 for you in Hickory, and feeling really good at 61 degrees right now up in Boone. So from your lows to your highs, we officially hit our low. That was right around the 6 o'clock hour. We'll be up to about 80 degrees by 9 a.m. and then the mid 80s, feeling like the lower 90s come 11 a.m. I think we have a mostly sunny start to the day, but today you're really going to see those puffy cumulus clouds start to take over really hour by hour through the afternoon, and then in a hurry those skies could turn darker on you. We already see what's happening further off towards the west. Some of the best advice I have for you for aspiring meteorologist, or if you're just a weather enthusiast, look upstream, as we call it, aka what's coming towards you. And you can see that this little Boeing line segment is exactly what we're going to have a little bit later on. You also have a lot of what's called stratiform precipitation. Simply put, those are just those light to moderate rain showers, a lot of those greens and yellows that could follow as well. So some of us, I think, could have a quick storm and then you dry out. Others might see the winds pick up for a little bit and then it rains for 1 to 2 hours. But then by the evening, I think we're going to be clearing things out. But what about your impacts? Well, the usual thunderstorm stuff where you have lightning, you're going to have some gusty winds, and then also the flooding threat will be there because we have some really high P watts, and what it really is, that's precipitable water, and that's how much rain can actually come from a given storm. Those are up to 2 inches per hour, I think, on and off throughout the afternoon. Hail, the bottom, and I don't think you're going to have any tornadoes associated with the system. We just don't have the right environment. Here's a future cast through this morning. I think you're good, but then as early as noon to 1, we see the first storm develop, and I want to show you how fast this changes on us. This is 1, that's 2, and then 2 to 3 to 4. And at that point, you're starting to see those lines form. The only difference I think we're going to see here is I think we're going to see a bigger area of some of that green that's developing behind this. And then 4 to about 6 o'clock, that's where you have that Boeing segment. So a better chance for severe thunderstorm warnings down here to the south. Any storm, I think, that really forms after 4 o'clock is going to be a little bit more of an unstable environment. Those of us who get it around 2 to 4, I think it's more just thunderstorms in general, maybe some gusty winds up to about 40, maybe 50 miles per hour. That's below the severe threshold, so likely that would just be a special weather statement. But then by 8 o'clock, you might have a storm down to the south, but I think most of this activity is getting out of here. We do have a secondary system. This is the cold front that's going to change things for the good heading through the overnight into tomorrow morning. But watch what happens when the branch of rain gets to us. I think a lot of it's going to fade out. The only way that this forecast is going to change is that that line holds together a little bit more, and that would just be a secondary chance for rain a little bit later on. Before I go, I have to talk about the epic changes we have for tomorrow. It is going to be a mess status as far as those dew points, but then right around that, hey, no problem. Just a little bit sticky heading into the weekend, so really a nice little summer treat as we are officially starting summer into the weekend. And then after that, those heat indices soar, the temperatures soar. Coming up, I'm going to talk more about this really first big heat wave of the year, how hot you're going to feel, and which day looks to be the hottest. But first, we have to have our first look here on WCNC Plus with Majestic on traffic.
Good morning, everyone. It is 7:04. Grab those sunglasses, go get your water bottle, fill that up. You're going to need to stay hydrated today. We are looking at I-77, York County. Good morning to you. If you're just waking up and joining us this morning, I'm not seeing anything too concerning there. I-77 77 at Lake Norman. You can see that sunshine shining on down. If you're heading out to the lake today, make sure you do have a way to receive weather notifications later on in the afternoon. As Chris has mentioned, it is going to get a bit active. Keep that in mind as well as you're driving home from work today, too. Right now, we're watching this. It's a crash on I-77. Northbound lanes are being impacted. It's at exit 13 where you get onto I-85. So we're going to continue to watch at right now, not seeing any significant backups there. This one's still ongoing. It's at LaSalle Street and Newcastle Street. And then off to the east, our third accident this morning. It's on University City Boulevard and Cameron Commons Parkway. Again, mainly seeing grain, so indicating that the crash is likely off to the shoulder and cars can still pass through it just fine. Otherwise, uptown looks fine. And we're just saying our typical slow and go watch spots. We'll have another check on my map and those cameras coming up here in a few.
Majestic, thanks. Right now, I-40 near the North Carolina and Tennessee state line remains closed after a mudslide and a lot of flooding. It's expected to cause some major traffic impacts for folks traveling on I-40 into Tennessee. And right about now, around 7 a.m., in this 7 a.m. hour, we're expecting transportation teams to survey some of the damage and get a better idea of just how bad it is. The biggest impacts appear to be on the Tennessee side of this. This video showing you, though, the issues they're dealing with. Cars and trailers stuck in mud. In some cases, you can't even see the tires on some of those cars because the mud is so deep. Crews there on site right now, as you said, we're going to get an update for you. In the meantime, crews encouraging folks to get in and out of North Carolina by taking I-81 north to I-26 east. 7:06 right now on WCNC Plus, and after weeks of questions and controversy over leadership, Ardrey Kell High School officially has a new principal. Take a look. Dr. Susan Nichols introducing herself on the district's YouTube page. Nichols, currently the principal at Charlotte Engineering Early College, which is one of the district's charter schools.
But the announcement is still leaving parents with concerns this morning. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live for us this morning. Richard, some families telling us the whole process has left them with some trust issues with the district.
Yeah, Megan, that's something we can definitely verify on this Thursday morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, Ben. And good morning Thursday morning to all of our people out there on the Plus. We just want to say that while school is out here at Ardrey Kell, they know that when they come back next year, they'll have new leadership. They're not upset about the person who will lead them, but just the way it's all been handled. On Wednesday, the district announced Susan Nichols as the new principal. Dr. Nichols is currently the leader at Charlotte Engineering Early College and brings 27 years of education experience right here. She's been with CMS since 2002. Her appointment was revealed in a YouTube video. Now, some parents believe the decision had already been made on her selection, despite being told otherwise. Now, the move just weeks after former principal Jamie Brooks quietly left the role. Her suspension and later retirement were never publicly explained by CMS, leading to backlash from families and even teachers who say they were kept in the dark. An earlier parent input session turned tense, with many saying CMS wasn't being upfront about the selection process. Now, we spoke to parents who say they are not against Nichols, but they say they're continue to be upset at the lack of transparency from the school district.
We just had graduation yesterday, and they are releasing the name of the new principal today. She was a principal at a school for 300 students. Well, Ardrey Kell has over 3,000 students. We will absolutely support her, and it's not her that we're upset with, it's CMS that continues to show us time and time again that we are not respected, that our voice doesn't really matter.
Kelly Ludwig, that's the parent that you just heard there, went on to say that it's basically a situation where parents provide the input, they try to get information from the district, and that's not happening. They say something needs to be done, making the communication process a little easier for them. We'll see if that happens. We're right here outside Ardrey Kell and Ballantyne. Richard Devane, we'll send it back to you.
Yeah, and Richard, we're hearing from some of those parents not too happy about that, especially for attending those meetings. Is this set in stone, or is there anything that parents can do? Any other meetings that are planned?
Well, they can always report to the district. One of the parents actually told us that when the YouTube announcement was made, a board member did not actually know about that. That's something we're still trying to verify if the board was informed of this move. But the parents always have the right to go to CMS, to the meetings, to report their dissatisfaction with the process, not the person they chose, as you heard Ms. Ludwig talk about. That's something that parents, CMS says that they want them to do, and that's something that parents have the option to do. We'll see if it helps.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Richard.
All right, 7:10 here on WCNC Plus. We've got some new video just in this morning on the latest attacks between Israel and Iran. This is video showing missiles flying across the skies of Israel and the West Bank early this morning after Iran launched another missile attack, according to the Israeli army. One of those missiles may be responsible for hitting a hospital. We've also got this video you see here of the hospital in the southern Israeli city of Beersheba. Authorities say it was hit by a ballistic missile. And according to Israeli media, the hospital took a direct hit following that missile attack. Several windows blown out. Heavy black smoke could be seen for miles billowing from that building. The extent of the damage is not yet known. We are going to keep a picture of that live shot from that hospital there in Beersheba up there on your screen on and off throughout the morning here on WCNC Plus. In the meantime, though, the U.S. involvement in the Middle East, it remains up in the air this morning as Israel and Iran continue to exchange fire. The president weighing his options right now, and NBC's Alice Barr shows us the growing divide between a lot of GOP lawmakers on whether or not to take action.
This morning, Israel assessing damage from a new round of Iranian airstrikes hitting a major hospital in the south and areas around Tel Aviv. That after Israel struck another target in the Iranian nuclear program that it's seeking to destroy, as President Trump weighs whether the U.S. military will join that mission.
I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. Especially with war.
The president meeting again with his national security advisors, considering whether to launch U.S. strikes on Iran, despite growing threats of retaliation.
I may do it, I may not do it.
Israeli strikes have probably set Iran's nuclear program back by a few months already, according to two sources with knowledge of the matter. But one critical underground facility would likely require an American bunker-busting bomb. President Trump suggesting he'd given Iran an ultimatum and that the path is narrowing to a diplomatic deal that many on Capitol Hill want.
We don't need to escalate in Iran. That doesn't make anyone in the Middle East safer, and it certainly doesn't make the United States any safer.
Growing division among Republicans, with some backing military intervention.
Either you want them to have a nuclear weapon or you don't. And if you don't, if diplomacy fails, you use force.
Others, like Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, arguing against another Middle East entanglement.
I don't want to get involved either, but I've been saying for 20 years, maybe longer, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
How close Iran may be to developing a nuclear weapon remains an open and pressing question. President Trump said he thinks Iran was a few weeks away from having a nuclear weapon, a projection at odds with the U.S. intelligence community that, according to two sources, still assesses that while Iran has lots of enriched uranium, the government has not made a decision to rush toward building a nuclear weapon. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Well, today, communities nationwide will gather to celebrate Juneteenth. The holiday honors the day when the last enslaved people in the United States learned they were free. The U.S. Post Office will be closed today, but FedEx and UPS locations will remain open.
City and county offices, they're going to be closed. Most banks also taking the day off, but of course, ATMs, online banking, those still available. As for your trash and recycling, pickup will resume tomorrow. Well, Juneteenth now recognized as a federal holiday, and as we mentioned, honors the day when the last enslaved people here in the United States finally learned they were free.
We're breaking down the history of the day that celebrates complete freedom.
After 4 bloody years, the Union defeated the Confederacy to win the Civil War and abolish slavery in April 1865. There were nearly 4 million slaves in the U.S. at the time. Union armies began marching through the southern states, freeing thousands of slaves each day. The news took months to reach Texas, the westernmost state in the Confederacy. On June 19, 1865, Major General Gordon Granger and 2,000 Union troops rode into Galveston and told slaves of their freedom. Granger's words spread through Texas. All at once, slaves found out the war was over and they were free. Their joyous, spontaneous celebration gave birth to what we now know as Juneteenth. Juneteenth, a combination of the words June and 19th, commemorates when the last enslaved people in the South were finally set free. Many slaves were met with violence or death when they tried to leave, yet the promise of freedom extinguished that fear and fueled generations to come. Former slaves gathered on Juneteenth the next year and the year after that. And over the decades, black communities observed the holiday with festive family gatherings, parades, and barbecues. Following the summer of protests in the wake of George Floyd's murder in 2020, private companies made Juneteenth a permanent paid holiday for their workers. In 2021, Congress passed legislation to make it a federal holiday. President Biden signed it into law days later. Juneteenth, a celebration of independence, the day all Americans were truly free.
And we continue to explore the rich history and significance of Juneteenth all day. Watch our Juneteenth special on WCNC Plus tonight at 9 and 11:30. Make sure just to download that on your TV and watch for free.
We have continuing coverage of Juneteenth throughout the day here on WCNC Plus. And coming up at 7:30, Destiny Richards is going to take a look at some of the big events happening around the Charlotte area. Well, this morning, people in the Midwest and Great Lakes cleaning up after storm damage. Take a look at this tornado caught on camera. It hit Jacksonville, Illinois yesterday, shredding a farm building in its path. A sports complex also suffered some pretty bad damage to buildings around the park. Debris scattered across a number of ball fields and a section of roof torn off the park's restaurant. Thankfully, no injuries reported. Let's go ahead and bring in Chris Mulcahy. He's tracking the latest on some possible storms we could get this afternoon.
Yeah, luckily for us, we don't have the wind shear, the twist, the atmosphere like you saw here. Because look at this, you have this little hooking segment right here, and within there you have a lot of change in direction with speed and height. So that wind shear led for a lot of tornadoes reported here. And actually, I've probably seen some of the most magnificent tornado video. They're not good, of course, the destruction they cause, but as far as the formation goes, the structure, best videos probably of my career this week alone. There's been a lot of really clear skies that have kind of been preceding that, so you don't really have those rain-wrapped tornadoes, which is a little more typical over in Illinois and the central parts of the United States. So a lot of tornado reports through Illinois especially. Now we're keeping an eye on a chance for damaging straight-line winds, especially with this trough rolling through, and that's the reason why we have a better chance for severe storms compared to what's to follow. And we also have this front to the north and west, and then once a high pressure system takes over, we are good. But I want to talk a little bit more about bow echo formation. Let's quickly raise your weather IQ. One storm can often turn into a segment looks like this. Carlene over on our Impact Studio refers to this as the shrimp, and it's actually a really good comparison there. So what happens is once a storm is flying and it's starting to pick up some stronger winds internally, the winds actually drive this storm forward, and then it creates more of a curvature on the back end. That could actually allow for a spin-up tornado to sometimes be in the shrimp head. Just to really coin what Carlene was saying here, we don't have this absolute classic setup that we're going to be seeing here, but I do think we're going to have some general bow segments. So not really talking about the tornado threat, but the damaging straight line winds just along that curve. So the main window of opportunity 2 to 8. Now I think storms first form between about noon and 2, but for the Charlotte area, it's primarily that 2 o'clock window getting into your evening commute. So gusty winds, heavy rain, and lightning are going to be the main threats. Let's go through our timing one more before we go on to threat number 2 for the week, and the biggest impact that, in my opinion, you're seeing some storms right around 1 o'clock really start to flourish things as we work our way through the day. Here's that Boeing segment that I'm talking about. This isn't the classic one, but it definitely is showing that the winds are starting to pick up in general. Wind gusts should be about 25 miles per hour on and off throughout the afternoon. This is 3 o'clock, so it's really the middle of the afternoon that is starting to line up for the Charlotte area. I'm still going to keep that window wide open 2 to 8 because there's always a chance that things start to slow down, but it should be flying once it rolls in. Then we'll have some leftover precipitation, very light variety to moderate showers on the back end of this before that says goodbye. Let's get to the secondary threat. So once this system rolls through, we're going to see a cold front pass, and then this high pressure system settles in place. And whenever you have one dominating high pressure system that doesn't really go anywhere, that's referred to as the heat dome, the way that it circulates. And over the next coming days, especially Sunday heading in Monday to Tuesday, we start to see a moderate upgrade to a major heat impact to even an extreme effect on Tuesday. I wouldn't be surprised if we're around that 105 mark, and that's where it starts becoming dangerously hot for our heat indices. Also, with a change of flow, you're also going to have an increase of those rip current impacts, so keep that in mind. Our 7-day forecast shows that we are turning it up. 96 to 98 degrees from Sunday until next Friday. The only change heading into Monday to Friday, we had that typical 20% isolated showers and storms that start to pop up throughout the day. So welcome to summer, y'all. It's officially the summer solstice as of 10:41 p.m. on Friday. Majestic, I know you're ready for summer. Here we go. We just have to befriend somebody with a boat.
Exactly. A boat, a pool, whatever, something to help us stay nice and cool. It's even just that type of weather where you can just turn on your sprinkler, have the kids run through it, whatever it is to stay cool. Make sure you're really keeping that in mind. I-77 here at York County. Good morning to everyone. If you're just waking up and joining us, you can see it here. Traffic is starting to build just a bit. I-77 out towards Lake Norman. Maybe you're heading out to the lake today. It's going to be nice, at least for the first half of the day. Watch for those showers and storms later on in the afternoon and evening. Multiple accidents now popping up. Let's take you out to this one. So really not seeing any backups there, but just keep this in mind that there is a crash on I-77 impacting some of the northbound lanes. It's right at exit 13. Off to the east, this one here, it's on University City Boulevard and Cameron Commons Parkway. Again, still seeing mainly green, so not too concerned about it. A new one just popping up. It's on Independence at the Brookshire Freeway. All green now, but we'll have to see if any of those backups start to build there. And then to the north, this one here, it's a new one. It's a crash on Highway 24 at I-485. I'll keep a close eye on that, and we'll have another check on our area roadways coming up here in just a bit. Megan.
Well, right now, Charlotte is preparing to host FIFA Club World Cup matches this weekend in Uptown, but uncertainty surrounds whether ICE agents will be present at Bank of America Stadium after a recently deleted post by federal agents. WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris shows us how the post is raising concerns among some community members.
Charlotte is scheduled to host 4 FIFA Club World Cup matches at Bank of America Stadium here starting on Sunday. But questions remain about federal immigration enforcement and their presence at this game and whether they'll be part of those security measures. As Bank of America Stadium gets set for world-class soccer this weekend, the talk isn't about the potential play on the pitch.
It gives me a lot of concern about the attendees who largely will be coming from a variety of countries around the world,
but rather the security measures. The uncertainty stems from a now deleted social media post by U.S. Customs and Border Protection earlier this month. The agency initially posted that it would be suited and booted, ready to provide security for the first round of games, but later removed that message without explanation.
Soccer is an internationally renowned sport, and I'm excited for it to be coming to the Queen City, but under the context of this administration, it does give me pause because I wonder what are their thoughts as they see what's unfolding in the United States right now.
The post sparked mixed emotions for Charlotte soccer fans like Jorge Gonzalez, who plans to be at the match on Sunday.
Soccer is very embedded into the Latin community, and it's tough because there's people that want to see, their team play, but they have to be careful.
And so that's what we're trying to do is say, hey, let's look at things differently.
Community advocates like Rusty Price, the founder and CEO of Camino, are emphasizing the importance of allowing people to enjoy the international soccer tournament without fear.
I'm very saddened by what I see, how we're dealing with immigration right now in a general sense. And I'm hoping that this isn't going to hurt the economy of Charlotte, which affects all of us, right? Just as a tactic to scare people.
And we did reach out to both ICE and CMPD to learn more about those security measures, but have not yet heard back. In Uptown, I'm Miles Harris, WCNC Charlotte.
We continue to monitor the situation out of Israel after a hospital was hit there. That's the picture you see there on the lower right-hand side of your screen. We're going to be keeping it up throughout the morning right here on WCNC Plus. In the meantime now, at 7:24, check this out. A brand new report ranking the top cities in the world to live. And to no one's surprise, we made the list.
Woo!
That's right, Charlotte.
Nice move.
I know, we did good.
Very nice. Charlotte ranks 50th in the world for most livable cities. Typically, I feel like we would not celebrate 50th, but when you could think about the entire world.
The world? That's awesome.
I mean, that's pretty good, right? The ranking based on factors like economic stability, education, infrastructure. And listen, the top 10 went to mainly European countries and European cities like Copenhagen, Denmark, ranking number 1.
Yeah.
Other U.S. cities making the list: Honolulu, Hawaii at number 23. So that's
Yeah.
Atlanta number 29. I'm not sure if I get Atlanta number 29, but still.
This was out of 100, right?
I think 100 in all. Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah. So we
50. Pretty good.
Picked a good place to live, I guess.
Yes,
I
we
know,
sure
everybody loves
did.
it. Everybody loves it. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yay to us, right?
Yay to us.
All right, 7:25 right now as we take a live look right now at that 50 most livable city in the world.
Beautiful.
Very
She's
nice.
beautiful.
Very nice. Unfortunately, the weather, it's not so beautiful, especially when we look at this afternoon. We're asking you to be weather alert headed into this afternoon and evening. Chris has more details coming up on that in just a minute. Plus, in the morning, checking your commute. That's coming your way right here on WCNC Plus.
All right, everybody, get ready for some storms later on this afternoon. For right now, it's gorgeous outside. Still a little bit on the humid side, but hey, it is June. You expect this, and it's about to be summer officially at the end of tomorrow. 2 to 8, that's where most of the storms are rolling through. Now, everyone's going to be impacted by a strong thunderstorm. This is just your most likely chance that you're going to have them. Gusty winds, heavy rain, lightning, that's the trifecta you can expect. Check it out. Here's noon. At that point, I think you have your first signs of it in the foothills and the mountains. Things really start to organize heading to the 2 o'clock hour. Charlotte 2 to 4, that's your best chance for passing showers and storms. And then following this, you can have some light to moderate rain that's going to develop. And then eventually between about 5 and 8 o'clock, it's doing its final push, getting out of the area. Our 7-day forecast showing we're in the lower 90s over the next 3, then the mid 90s followed by the upper 90s for by far the hottest days of the year. Majestic, what's going on?
All right, good Thursday morning, everyone. Area roadways, for the most part, as you're heading out the door, aren't looking too bad. It's starting to pick up as more people are waking up and heading out the door. I-77 here, one of those days where you'll need those sunglasses. Grab some water. You can see I-77 out there at Lake Norman. A beautiful start to the day. One accident I'm keeping a close eye on is right here. It's on Independence in the Brookshire Freeway. Might slow you down just a bit. We'll have more coming up on WCNC Plus.
Good morning. Happy Thursday, and thanks for joining us live on WCNC Plus at 7:30. I'm Megan Bragg.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Today, communities across the country expected to gather to celebrate and honor Juneteenth. The holiday celebrates the end of slavery here in the U.S.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live for us in Charlotte this morning and with a look at how we're celebrating in our area. Good morning, Destiny.
Good morning. Yeah, there are events, Juneteenth events happening all across our region today. There's really something for everyone, just bringing people together in different ways. There's stuff celebrating history, art, as well as just the community coming together to have fun. Here in the Charlotte area, there's a Juneteenth celebration set to begin at noon today in First Ward Park. It's hosted by the Charlotte-Mecklenburg NAACP. Just a few blocks away, the Harvey B. Gantt Center is also offering a full slate of indoor events, including live performances, family activities, and conversations on freedom and cultural expression. Surrounding towns are also joining in as well. Huntersville will host a block party this evening at Veterans Park. In Kannapolis, a festival at their own Veterans Park is taking place, and it'll lead into a Cannonballers game later tonight. And in Gastonia, a community celebration takes over Rotary Centennial Pavilion tonight, complete with food, music, and ending the night with fireworks.
America has 2 Independence Days. It's not a made-up holiday. It's a real thing, and it affects real people. And so as a community, if we can honor the 4th of July, what's one more day to celebrate? It should bring us all together and help us know how important community and unity are in our society.
Yeah, and if you want to take the day to celebrate or you want to reflect, there's lots of opportunities. But if you missed today's events, there's some going on tomorrow and even throughout the weekend. We have a full list on our website and on the WCNC Charlotte News app. Live in Uptown this morning, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, some great events out there for folks to check out. Evidently not just today, but also in the days to come, which is great if people aren't available today. All right, Destiny, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Good morning, everybody. It's a gorgeous start to the day, and those temperatures are going to be zooming. Let's check it out. This is downtown Monroe. Not so busy. People aren't ready to go yet. There was a few cars driving by. All right, now we're waking up, and you should have a beautiful, mostly sunny sky to begin the day. One thing that'll change, we saw this yesterday, you're going to pick up a lot more of those cotton balls, aka cumulus clouds that'll be fair weather initially, but then they could turn darker on you in a hurry. I think we're really going to populate those clouds pretty quickly, even as early as the late morning. We're dry for the morning, by the way, so if you have anything to do, that's the time frame. Between about noon and 2, I still think you're dry for Charlotte, but then once you get to about 2 and beyond, they're here. And that storm time frame, really 2 to 6, looks to be the best potential, really either side of the I-77 corridor and most of I-85 through our viewing area. After 6, things start to wind down as this is going to be flying through. I think the main impact, as we're talking about for the gusty winds and the worst of these storms, isn't going to last long, only about a 10-minute period. But then behind that, you could have light to moderate rain for a couple of hours for some areas. Other than that, some might just have a storm, that's it, and then you're just getting ready for your evening. So what to know? Let's really go through the details here. These storms are going to form super fast, and they're going to move fast as well. At times, I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about forward momentum speeds at 45 to 50 miles per hour, which could match some of the wind speeds, especially if it has a special weather statement. You're going to have some wind damage as the primary hazard, and that's outside of the usual, the lightning, the heavy rain, which, speaking of, moving to the bottom of this, the high moisture content, the mugginess in the air, is going to promote some heavy rain. I think we'd have rain rates up to 2 inches per hour. Not going to have that for a given hour, but some areas I think could pick up a quick inch in a hurry, and that's going to overwhelm the drains and even your gutters, just depending. And this could also affect your evening commute, especially around 4 o'clock where traffic really starts to pick up, so keep that in mind as well. Storm impacts, I already mentioned it, the lightning, the winds, and the flooding. That's the trifecta. Hail, it's on there, but it's a very, very low chance, and I think it's primarily going to be right in this area from Hickory to Morganton. Any of these individual cells could provide some hail between about noon to 2. And then once it starts to form a line or a little curve, as you can see here, that's where I think you have a better chance in a transition from any hail threat to some damaging winds that'll be associated with this. Here's 4 o'clock, still in the area, and then 4 to 5 to 6 o'clock. That's where I think things are starting to get away from the 485 loop. But notice how it's a lot more organized. I should zoom out the next time that I show this. You're seeing a much better cluster of storms. So I think it's really southeast of Charlotte that we're going to have some of the worst of the weather. That's where I think most of the wind damage is going to be. But all of us under the line to have a chance for the storm to quickly pass on through is a burst of heavy rain, definitely impacting your afternoon regardless. Then a cold front passes. If this is actually a pure cold front driving into this heat and humidity, I think we'd even have a higher chance for a severe storm, even a chance for a spin-up tornado, but mainly just going to be a quick burst of some of those heavier winds. And regardless of any thunderstorms, still going to have gusts to about 25 miles per hour. If you saturate the soil, so that can bring down any root-rotted tree or trees in general, as we see here, a lot of those shallow root trees only go down about 18 inches. Our dew points, this is still an uncomfortable range, but watch. We see that red turn over to a little bit of yellow and a little bit of orange. So that means it's going to feel much better heading into your Friday and Saturday. So that's going to be a nice little trend. But since it actually feels comfortable and we're sunny all day tomorrow is my pick of the week. Enjoy it, everybody, because guess what happens after that? We get even hotter. We could barely get to 90 degrees most of this spring, but now all of a sudden it seems like we're doing it all at once. We have the mid-90s for the first time on Sunday, feeling like 100 degrees, and then 97, 98, 98, and then after that it'll be 97, 96, feeling like 100 to 105 degrees. Some of those days could also have a heat advisory. Keep that in mind. Some hot air getting dangerously hot through the middle of next week. So already think in your mind how you're going to be staying cool and have a wonderful weekend, which, by the way, this is the first weekend of summer, y'all. I know Majestic's excited.
I sure am. It's going to feel hot, but you know, you get outside early, enjoy some sunshine, some nice conditions, and then find a nice way to stay cool. You can see our live traffic maps if you do have someplace to be. Maybe you're waking up the kids and taking them to summer camp today. It is going to be a warm start to the morning, that's for sure. And if you take Independence inbound, you got some problems this morning. This is where we are following this crash here. It's on Independence and I-277, so the Berkshire Freeway. You can see all of that red there that's backing up. So this is going to be your best alternate route. So if you take Independence, you're going to want to get off at Briar Creek Road. Then you just take a right. That'll take you straight up 7th Street. Notice we have all green right now, so that is really going to get you right around that crash. Another one here, it's on I-77 northbound lanes just after exit 13 on I-85. But as you can see, mainly green, so hardly any impacts there. And then this one, this is on Highway 24 at I-485, so you can see the yellow there as people are popping on that direction. Medium impacts. Otherwise, we are really following Independence. I'll keep a close eye on that for you. Grab those sunglasses. Boy, it's a beautiful start to our Thursday morning out there. In our drive times, if you are heading out the door, here we go. A couple of them for you. About 26 minutes if you're coming in from Belmont, and about 22 if you are currently coming in from Matthews. Megan.
All right, thanks, Majestic. City transportation leaders are mapping out some changes to your daily commute, including moving ahead with plans for toll lanes on I-77 south of Uptown. WCNC Charlotte's Siobhan Riley has the details and what leaders are asking to make it all possible.
Leaders say the bottom line is they need more money for roads. Some say their biggest fear is spending billions of dollars on the I-77 South Express Lane project and nothing being done to address congestion. Recently, we told you NCDOT is moving forward with a public-private partnership to deliver the I-77 South Express lanes. This after finding toll expenses wouldn't cover enough of the cost. Transportation leaders saying this is one of the most expensive projects the state has considered, which would cost about $3.2 billion. The goal of the meeting to make sure they have the best outcome with I-77 South and making it accessible to lower-income residents.
As we look at toll rate caps, as I mentioned earlier, that's not something that's implemented on I-77 North. So that is a difference here. But as it would work is basically there are 2 levels of express lanes utilization that would be required prior to a developer being able to charge certain rates.
There are people out here who are struggling financially, who need help. Some people don't have almost any money to spare. I'm sure you're aware of that, and Charlotte has no shortage of poverty.
Mecklenburg County Commissioner Lee Altman said what she doesn't want to see happen is the same mistakes that impacted I-77 North. She mentioned how almost no one used the toll lanes because the toll was so high. The 2055 Metropolitan Transportation Plan was on the agenda as well. This is the draft project outlining hundreds of roads and transit projects to be prioritized over the next 30 years. They did announce that they will have a public comment section for that. To find out how you can participate in that public comment section, visit our website at WCNC.com. In Uptown, Siobhan Riley, WCNC Charlotte.
Meantime, a bill that could shape the future of transportation in Mecklenburg County is moving forward. House lawmakers voted to approve the PAVE Act yesterday with overwhelming support. The proposed plan would allow the Mecklenburg County Commission the option to put a 1-cent sales tax on the ballot for this year. If that is then approved by voters, the money would be used to fund roads, rails, and buses.
It's not perfect, but it is a tremendous start, and we are in a very good place. This bill is extremely transformational for Mecklenburg and for these towns. We are doing something unique and innovative.
There's some frustration with the light rail not going to Matthews after being scrapped from the original plan, but representatives say it's a step in the right direction.
New developments in the Karen Reed trial. She was acquitted of second-degree murder and manslaughter charges in the death of her boyfriend, a Boston police officer. The verdict comes after nearly 2 months of testimony. It's captured the nation's attention. Prosecutors allege that Reed hit 46-year-old John O'Keefe with her SUV and then left him to die in the snow back in 2022. The jury also acquitted Reed of 2 lesser charges in his death. However, she was convicted of operating under the influence and sentenced to 1 year probation.
The U.S. Supreme Court has upheld a Tennessee law restricting gender-affirming care for minors, making a pivotal shift in transgender rights. The ruling could reshape care across more than 20 states, all which have similar bans to the ones in Tennessee. The law bars gender transition surgeries, puberty blockers, and hormone therapy for those under 18. The North Carolina State Treasurer's Office applauding the decision, saying it upholds its arguments in a pending lawsuit over transition care. It should be noted the Supreme Court has not officially made a decision in the North Carolina case yet.
Right now, North Carolina ranks among the highest states in the country for folks who avoid going to the doctor because of the cost. Experts say before you face a big medical bill, it's important to know what your insurance will cover ahead of time. Beyond that, they also suggest researching the financing plan you want to use and calculate your payments. We spoke with a financial expert right here on WCNC Plus yesterday for some tips on how to avoid medical debt down the road.
Beyond financing, what can people think about to prepare for unexpected expenses?
Well, I really love when people, save on a regular basis so that you can avoid taking on medical debt. We don't want that for anyone. So it's important to plan in advance. Maybe you want to take money out of your paycheck on a regular basis, and you can segregate different savings accounts. So, it's all fun and games to save for your vacation, but sometimes we don't always save for these medical things.
You can tune in for more conversations like that one right here on WCNC Plus. Turn it on and leave it on all day.
Well, the annual Dirty Dozen list is out with a few different items you may want to watch for. So what should you pay extra care to when picking through fresh fruits and vegetables? I looked into the everyday impact this can have on your grocery list.
Shopping for produce can be a gamble, especially when it comes to avoiding pesticides. The Environmental Working Group's so-called Dirty Dozen list for 2025 just dropped, and it reveals what produce had the highest levels of contamination. It's meant to provide tools to help you decide whether to buy organic for the fruits and vegetables families consume the most. According to the list, more than 90% of samples of a dozen fruits and vegetables tested positive for potentially harmful pesticide residues. Spinach topped this year's list with more pesticide residue by weight than any other produce tested. Also on the list, strawberries, collards, and grapes. Blackberries were new to the list this year, and potatoes joined the rankings after not making the list in recent years. This annual report also highlights the Clean 15, which are the produce that had the lowest amounts of pesticides. Topping that list is pineapple,
pineapple, followed by sweet corn and avocados. If you would like to check out the full list, head to our mobile app. Megan Bragg, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, check this out. SpaceX Starship exploded Wednesday night in Texas during pre-flight preparations, sending a massive fireball into the sky just before midnight. You see it there. Everybody's safe, no danger to any nearby residents. SpaceX working with local officials to see what exactly happened. This is the second Starship explosion this year. The last one happened back in May. All right, 7:45 right now on WCNC Plus. Let's turn it back over to Chris Mulcahy with a check of your weather impact forecast.
Truly, there's two impacts this week. I already went through one in detail. That's the severe storm chance. But a high pressure system is going to park right here. And that is our forecast, because a high is going to build right over the Charlotte area, and that's going to allow for our temperatures to zoom. I'm talking about the mid to the upper 90s for at least a 6-day span. Truly, this is the Carolinas definition of a heat wave for this time of year. Now, the most common definition of a heat wave is 3 days or more at 90 plus. That's July for us. But for the extended version for the southeast, it's really when you have unseasonably hot temperatures for 3 days or more, and that's exactly what we're going to have. So I'm going to jump right to our 7-day forecast. Check this out. 96 on Sunday, 97 on Monday, and then 98 on Tuesday and Wednesday. Moisture values are starting to come up at this point, so that is going to allow for us to start to really challenge that 100-degree point about how hot we're going to feel. So on Sunday, feels like 100. On Monday, feeling like 102. And I think on Tuesday, we have a chance for it to feel as hot as 105 degrees. So I want to go through our heat risks over the coming days. Here, actually, let's rewind this. Let's get right to Sunday. You can see that there's an orange shading to a red shading here. This is a moderate to a major impact. This is most likely whenever you're going to have the upper 90s to around 100-degree point. You're fine as long as you drink plenty of water at that point. But then once you get to Monday, we're seeing that red start to take over. And for the first time, should be more of a pink color, but it's coming up as purple. That's representing an extreme threat, especially in more of the populated areas, such as around Concord, Charlotte, because you have that urban heat island effect that is going to allow for those temperatures to crank up to about that 100 to 105. If we have a solid shot at 105 degrees, we're talking about our first heat advisory of the year. So that is going to be the big story going forward. And the bottom forecast I have for our highs is 70 degrees for a low, but a high is right around 90 degrees. So we're anywhere from 90 to 98, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of us are going to hit that 100-degree point for the first time, especially down towards the southeast. So that's the big story. Another little highlighter, because I know a lot of us are going to be heading to the beach this weekend, because guess what? It's the first weekend of summer. Rejoice, get outside and enjoy it. We do have a high rip current threat, and one person did sadly die just over the last couple of days. So this just really shows how serious this type of is. I think the best advice I have for you when you go to the beach is a lot of people panic whenever they're caught up in the rip current. You're supposed to swim horizontally along the water. Keep that in mind, just in case there is a rip current, that is what you're going to do. It allows you to kind of be mentally prepared for that. And if there's any red flags that are on the beach, they're going to warn you for this. And it's usually highest right around Myrtle Beach and heading up to Morehead City. So just a warning as we are officially embarking into summer. We call it the summer solstice on Friday evening. Saturday is the first full day of summer. Stay cool, everybody. You're going to need to. Let's head over to Majestic with our morning traffic report.
Good morning, everyone. It is gorgeous outside. Take a look at your TV screen that says I-77. Seeing a lot of blue skies and sunshine. Enjoy it while we have it. It's going to be one of those days where you do want to get outside. You got to do it sooner than later, as those temperatures will crank up fast. And, of course, those showers and storms are ahead. Let's break down a few accidents I'm continuing to follow. This one is the most significant one. It's on Independence. You can see all of the red there that's starting to back up. Independence taking you right towards the uptown area. So what you're going to want to do if you typically take Independence inbound, get off right here. That's Briar Creek Road. Then just take a right onto 7th Street. That'll get you straight into the right direction. And notice 7th Street still right now is still all in the green. So that'll really help that morning commute for those delays that are currently ongoing. This crash here is on Highway 24 and I-485. You can see some yellow just indicating medium impacts there. Otherwise, it is beautiful. Good morning to you in York County. Good morning to everyone watching from South Carolina. What a nice start to the day. It's one of those mornings commutes where really you need the sunglasses early in the day, and those windshield wipers will be going by the later half of the day. We'll have more on your weather and traffic coming up here in a bit. Ben.
Justin, thanks. The culinary world has lost one of its most talented and colorful characters. Fans around the world mourning the death of acclaimed chef Anne Burrell of the Food Network. She passed away Tuesday at her home in Brooklyn. NBC's Ann Thompson has more on the celebrity chef's influence.
We're going to heat up our pan till it is hot.
Anne Burrell was a Food Network staple.
Oh my God, this is like Groundhog Day over here.
Bringing the fire. Come on, dude. What are you doing? And the spice.
Flat side down. Make it easy on yourself.
As host of the worst cooks in America. Viewers first met Burrell as a sous chef on Iron Chef America. Her trademark shock of platinum hair making her instantly recognizable.
I'm ready with my time bundle. You know why? Because we don't have time for time.
She then debuted as the star of her own show, Secrets of a Restaurant Chef, becoming a mainstay of the Food Network for 2 decades. Born in upstate New York, Burrell was inspired by her mother and Julia Child, honing her skills at the Culinary Institute of America, in Italy, and then in some of New York City's best restaurants.
So we get like garlic instead of garlic. It's garlic.
And she was a frequent guest of the Today Show.
This also makes me feel like I'm a little bit on the Amalfi Coast.
Just 2 months ago, she visited us to make chicken Milanese.
Some hazelnuts.
Burrell was always taking a big bite out of life.
Welcome to my world of color. This is the living dining area.
She even introduced us to her world at home.
I spent some time in couch stores doing this. I totally get the minimalist thing for some people. I'm more of a maximalist. I like to be true to form.
Her last social media post was 6 days ago with a Brooklyn friend. The hashtag Lucky Girl. This morning, waves of praise and love from the culinary world. Sandra Lee remembering Burrell's quick wit and sassy drive. Worst Cooks co-host Robert Irvine says he knew Burrell as a generous and supportive colleague and even better friend. And from her family, her smile lit up every room she entered.
Bacon, butter, and something with beef. Yeah. And Burrell makes it better. So now.
Well, back at home, a heartwarming development as a community rallies together to help the 3 children injured after a crash in Burke County. Last week, 3 girls at a lemonade stand were hit by a car. They now have a long road to recovery, but a local construction team installed a free wheelchair ramp for one of the young girls who was released from the hospital. Annabelle will now have an easier time getting around while she recovers.
We didn't really know what we were going to do, how we could be involved, but then the fire department contacted us and said, hey, look, we need you. And we said, all right, well, let's do it. It's just a really good feeling for us knowing that we got to be a part of changing somebody's life.
Annabelle's mom says, although she's glad her little girl is finally home, there's still a long road ahead. Teams will be out building another wheelchair ramp today. Well, it's time for your morning boost. Not 1, not 2, but 6 sets of twins is sharing their story as they get ready to cross the graduation stage together. The senior class from Barney Gate High School in New Jersey includes a big pack of pairs. The group shared how growing up together has shaped their experiences and made their bond more special. The school's vice principal noted this is the highest number of twins they've ever had. But get this, next year's class is expected to be even more.
You know, my better half is a twin, and I think they had like 4 or 5 sets of twins.
Really?
And this is up in Lexington, North Carolina. It's a relatively small high school. Yeah. There's something in the water in some of these places.
Something in the water, I know.
It's so hot. It's so hot. I love it. All right, 7:54 right now on WCNC Plus, and we are going to take a quick break as we take a live look right now over our skyline on this Thursday morning. Hey, listen up. We're weather impact alert coming up this afternoon. Chris is going to join us in just a minute to explain why. Plus, Majestic standing by with a look at your Thursday morning commute. That's coming your way right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good morning, everybody. Most of the day is going to be A-OK, but we will have a chance for some storms later on. 76 right now in Charlotte, 72 for you in Hickory, and then 74 right around Monroe. So if you're getting your pickleball on, well, temperatures will be in the lower 80s over the next couple of hours. And then we're in the upper 80s by midday, hot and humid weather before those scattered storms roll in. And we'll be at 90 degrees, feeling more like the mid to the upper 90s, depending where you are. 1 to 2, that's our first signs of showers and storms. That's where they start to really grow across our area. Charlotte, I think it's 2 to 4. You have the best time frame. And then it's about 4 to 6 that they start to strengthen down towards the south. We'll have some lingering rain to complete the afternoon. And then by the evening, let's call it 6 to 8, storms are getting out of here. 90 degrees tomorrow, feeling much drier. Gorgeous weather, mid to the upper 90s through all next week. Majestic.
All right, good Thursday morning, everyone. Whether you're heading out the door to go run some errands or maybe you're getting those kids up ready for summer camp today, it is beautiful outside. Live look I-77. Not seeing any major slowdowns unless you take Independence. That's where I am following this crash right here. You can see all of the red that takes you right into the uptown area. So I do have some advice for you. You're going to want to get off of Independence, take Briar Creek Road, and then just hit that right, and then that takes you right into that 7th Street. That'll get you right towards the uptown area. But that is our biggest slowdown. We'll have more coming up here throughout the show. Hope you have a great day.
Hello.
Hey there, this is Ben and
Megan.
Megan in the studio. Mark, you there?
Hello? Yes, I'm here.
Sounds like we got Mark.
Yep.
Mark, we're about to start in just a minute or so, and then we'll get to you in about 5 minutes.
All right, sounds good.
Streaming live right now at 8 a.m. here on WCNC Plus, I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Megan Bragg.
Well, after weeks of questions and weeks of controversy over leadership, Ardrey-Kell High School officially has a new principal. Take a look. Dr. Susan Nichols introducing herself on the district's YouTube page. Nichols, currently the principal over at Charlotte Engineering Early College, which is one of the district's charter schools.
But the announcement is still leaving parents with concerns this morning. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live for us this morning. Richard, some families telling us the whole process has left them with some trust issues with the district.
That's absolutely correct, Megan. Good morning to you. Good morning, Ben. Good Thursday morning, all. Basically, it's not the fact that there's going to be a new leader here at Ardrey-Kell. It's not the fact that it's Dr. Nichols who was tapped to take over. It's the way the process went and the lack of transparency that has parents so concerned. Now, yesterday morning, the district announced that Dr. Susan Nichols will be the new principal at Audrey Kell High School. She's currently the leader at Charlotte Engineering Early College, and she brings more than 27 years of education experience with her. Now, she started with the district in 2002. Her appointment was revealed in that YouTube video you spoke of, and that has some parents believing that the decision had already been made, despite being told otherwise, they say. The move made just a couple weeks after former principal Jamie Brooks left her role as principal. That's because she was suspended and then later retired. The district never publicly explained what led to those moves. That led parents to have some backlash, and families and even teachers say they were not informed of everything that was going on. An earlier parent input session turned tense, with many saying that CMS wasn't being upfront about the selection process. Now, we spoke to a number of parents, including Kelly Ludwig. She says she's not against the decision of Nichols, but she is still concerned about what she says is the continued lack of transparency from the school district.
I mean, we just had graduation yesterday, and they are releasing the name of the new principal today. She was a principal at a school for 300 students. Well, Audrey Kell has over 3,000 students. We will absolutely support her, and it's not her that we're upset with, it's CMS that continues to show us time and time again that we are not respected, that our voice doesn't really matter.
And she says that she went on to say that it's important for them to feel confidence in the district. They say they don't have a lack of confidence for who will be the new leader here. They just say they're still concerned about the way CMS has handled this entire situation. For CMS's part, it's important to say that they say the decision with Dr. Brooks, Jamie Brooks, was all a personnel matter, and they were not at liberty to discuss personnel matters about their employees. We're right here in Ballantyne. This is Richard Devane. Send it back to you.
And Richard, you know, hearing from concerned parents, is there anything moving forward that parents can do or have their voices heard? I know they were trying to have their voices heard in this first meeting, but moving forward, can they do anything?
They can continue to talk to the district. They can continue to talk to the district. But that's one of the issues, Megan, that they're talking about. The fact that there was the parent input sessions where they believe that the district more or less just told them what was going to happen, and not giving them true input that they could say the district would take and then put into action. So they're very concerned about the fact, one, that the district has not been giving them any information. Two, when the district does have an input session, takes a survey or anything like that, they don't act on it because they feel it's just something the district is doing because they have to. We'll leave it there.
All right. Thank you so much.
Sweet jacket too, Richard. Just want to say that if you're listening to me, I love your jacket. I'm standing in a pool. What am I doing right now? Do you know what? It's going to be so hot. I think I might have a popsicle. Maybe I'll have 4 popsicles. Ooh, I got cherry, lime. Maybe going to eat an orange one, the grape flavor. What's your favorite? Well, here is your headlines for the next few days to the next several. Today, dry morning followed by some afternoon storms. Tomorrow's the pick of the week. And our weekend forecast is getting hotter each day, lower 90s turning to the mid 90s. And the next week, real feel at about 100 to 105. Yikes. Our Dallas camera seeing some of those upper level clouds across the horizon. We're going to cloud things up really quickly by the end of the morning. Our dew point right around 70. We didn't have that yesterday. Yesterday did not feel as humid. Today will. And this is going to be translated over to some storm fuel. So 90, 92 that we're going to have for highs across the greater Charlotte area will feel like 95 to 98. So how you feel? Around that meh range, but then once we get a cold front to pass early tomorrow morning, we're going to be around that, hey, it's just kind of sticky to no problem range, which is going to be fantastic. This will come up, but still really comfortable for this time of year on Saturday, and then back to that uncomfortable air that you can expect pretty much each and every day for the next 3 months or so. Current temperatures right now, 76 degrees around Charlotte, 74 around Monroe. Our storm impacts mainly will be lightning, heavy rain, and of course a chance for a gusty wind. Hail threat is very, very low. And our peak heat indices, as I mentioned, the upper 90s, right around 98 degrees, feeling much better in the lower 90s by your Friday, and then 100 to 102 by your Sunday and Monday. So the biggest deal about today is the storm potential. And we had some big time storms over here in Illinois. That storm system, we're not going to see the cold front from it. Instead, we're going to see a sample of something like this right along this trough as that front wedges in a little bit closer. It will look similar to this. Some areas will have that leading edge of some really mean storms, followed by what's light to moderate rain right behind this. Coming up, I'm going to have your futurecast, timing it out for your afternoon. Also, the big changes heading into the weekend. But first, it's a dry morning for your morning commute, so that always makes a difference. Majestic.
Definitely. Some morning sunshine always is good for the soul. There's a live look at our maps. We have a lot going on this morning. One big accident, though, that's really backing things up. This is on Independence, but it's really impacting the Berkshire Freeway as well. So you can see all of that red there. What you're going to want to do is if you take Independence, you're going to want to get off right here at Briar Creek Road and then just take that right, that 7th Street. It'll take you in the same direction there. And notice all the red on Independence, but 7th Street inbound right now is all green. So that's going to be the way to go. Otherwise, still following this, really not seeing major impacts with it whatsoever, though. It's between Highway 24 and I-485 there. And we're looking at those southbound lanes being impacted. And then this one just now popping up. It's on W.T. Harris Boulevard at Dion Hills Drive. So continuing to follow that. But again, one of those minor incidents. Live look outside. It is a beautiful start to our Thursday morning. Take it easy for your morning commute. Ben.
Majestic, thanks. Right now, I-40 near the North Carolina-Tennessee state line is closed because of mudslide, and it's expected to cause some major traffic impacts for folks who travel on I-40. Here to give us an update on the situation is Mark Nagy. He's the communications officer for the Tennessee Department of Transportation. Mark, thanks for taking time. I imagine you and your colleagues have your hands full. Where do things stand right now as far as the timeline for reopening this part of the interstate?
Well, there's no timeline currently. Yesterday, we saw a massive amount of debris in the roadway from that rock slide and flooding. And this is something that occurred approximately 1 mile from the Tennessee-North Carolina state line. This morning, our TDOT crews are back in that area. They are assessing the roadway, the ramps. We've seen damage to the roadway itself and the on and off ramps at the exit right before the Tennessee-North Carolina state line. And they have to assess the slope in that area. So at the current time, there is no timeline for this roadway to reopen. Remember, this is in the same area where we saw the flooding from Helene last September, and there's already road construction activities taking place to rebuild the roadway in this area.
Yeah, and I was actually just going to ask you that question, Mark, with that Helene cleanup. Is this going to affect your progress with that?
That's not known at this time. Certainly, we've already had one lane of traffic open in each direction in that area since last fall. We're not certainly don't want to see that roadway closed again. One thing to note, though, is that we fortunately have interstates in the area that people can get around. Anybody in Tennessee trying to get into North Carolina should utilize I-81 north to I-26 east in Unicoi County.
Mark, are you prepared? I mean, looking at the forecast, are you expecting any more rock slides or mudslides in this area that can make this situation even worse?
We're hoping that Mother Nature does us a favor here, and we don't see more rain. We had a lot of rain that went through Cock County yesterday afternoon, and that's when we had the rock slide and the flooding after that. We had about 1 inch or 2 in that area. So if we can get some dry conditions over the next few days, certainly that would be helpful.
And just, you mentioned this, but just to revisit, because for folks watching us right now or listening to us, where this is happening is about 4 hours away from Charlotte. So this is a good distance away. But of course, I-40, the main way folks get from North Carolina into Tennessee and vice versa. Of course, a lot of interstate travel with folks like tractor trailers and things like that. So what are you telling people to do as far as going around this?
Well, I-40 was already down to 1 lane in each direction between mile marker 446 in Tennessee and mile marker 7 in North Carolina. That's approximately 11 or 12 miles. So commercial traffic was still able to get through that area. Certainly that's not the case right now. So we would advise anybody who's trying to travel between the states, do not take I-40. It is closed and it is not safe for travel. So, find alternate routes. Again, fortunately, there's a number of interstates that folks can use to get to and from the states.
I can tell you, I've driven that stretch of interstate between North Carolina and Tennessee more times than I can count, into Knoxville. And on a regular day before any of this, it was not for the faint-hearted, because the twists and turns were already a lot, much less once you have it down to one lane, and now you have it completely shut down altogether. Mark Nagy with the Tennessee Department of Transportation. Mark, thanks so much for taking time. We appreciate it.
Yep, thank you, guys.
All right, 8:11 right now on WCNC Plus. And we've got some new video in this morning on the latest attacks between Israel and Iran. The video shows missiles flying across the skies of Israel and the West Bank early this morning after Iran launched another missile attack. This according to Israeli military members. What are those missiles? May be responsible for this. We believe hitting a hospital. This is video showing the hospital. This is in the southern city of Beersheba there in Israel. Authorities say it was hit by a ballistic missile. And according at least to Israeli media, the hospital took a direct hit following that missile attack. Several windows blown out and heavy black smoke could be seen for miles billowing from that building. At this point, the extent of the damage is not really known or understood at this point. Meanwhile, the U.S. involvement there in the Middle East, that remains up in the air this morning as you wake up, as Israel and Iran continue to exchange fire. President Trump now weighing his option. And NBC's Alice Barr shows us the growing divide between some GOP lawmakers on whether to take action or not.
This morning, Israel assessing damage from a new round of Iranian airstrikes hitting a major hospital in the south and areas around Tel Aviv. That after Israel struck another target in the Iranian nuclear program that it's seeking to destroy, as President Trump weighs whether the U.S. military will join that mission.
I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. Especially with war.
The president meeting again with his national security advisors, considering whether to launch U.S. strikes on Iran, despite growing threats of retaliation.
I may do it, I may not do it.
Israeli strikes have probably set Iran's nuclear program back by a few months already, according to two sources with knowledge of the matter. But one critical underground facility would likely require an American bunker-busting bomb. President Trump suggesting he'd given Iran an ultimatum and that the path is narrowing to a diplomatic deal that many on Capitol Hill want.
We don't need to escalate in Iran. That doesn't make anyone in the Middle East safer, and it certainly doesn't make the United States any safer.
Growing division among Republicans, with some backing military intervention.
Either you want them to have a nuclear weapon or you don't. And if you don't, if diplomacy fails, you use force.
Others, like Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, arguing against another Middle East entanglement.
I don't want to get involved either, but I've been saying for 20 years, maybe longer, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
How close Iran may be to developing a nuclear weapon remains an open and pressing question. President Trump said he thinks Iran was a few weeks away from having a nuclear weapon, a projection at odds with the U.S. intelligence community that, according to two sources, still assesses that while Iran has lots of enriched uranium, the government has not made a decision to rush toward building a nuclear weapon. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And if you're just now joining us here on WCNC Plus, we're going to keep that live picture of Tel Aviv up in the bottom right corner of your screen just to keep you up to date.
And today, communities nationwide will gather to celebrate Juneteenth. The holiday honors the day when the last enslaved people in the United States learned they were free. The U.S. Post Office will be closed today, but FedEx and UPS locations will remain open.
City and county offices, they're going to be closed. Most banks are going to be taking the day off as well. Of course, ATMs, online banking, that's still available. As for your trash pickup, a lot of folks wondered about this. It will resume tomorrow. Juneteenth now recognizes a federal holiday and, as we mentioned, honors the day when the last enslaved people in the United States learned they were free.
We're breaking down the history of the day that celebrates complete freedom.
After 4 bloody years, the Union defeated the Confederacy to win the Civil War and abolish slavery in April 1865. There were nearly 4 million slaves in the U.S. at the time. Union armies began marching through the southern states, freeing thousands of slaves each day. The news took months to reach Texas, the westernmost state in the Confederacy. On June 19, 1865, Major General Gordon Granger and 2,000 Union troops rode into Galveston and told slaves of their freedom. Granger's words spread through Texas. All at once, slaves found out the war was over and they were free. Their joyous, spontaneous celebration gave birth to what we now know as Juneteenth. Juneteenth, a combination of the words June and 19th, commemorates when the last enslaved people in the South were finally set free. Many slaves were met with violence or death when they tried to leave, yet the promise of freedom extinguished that fear and fueled generations to come. Former slaves gathered on Juneteenth the next year and the year after that. And over the decades, black communities observed the holiday with festive family gatherings, parades, and barbecues. Following the summer of protests in the wake of George Floyd's murder in 2020, private companies made Juneteenth a permanent paid holiday for their workers. In 2021, Congress passed legislation to make it a federal holiday. President Biden signed it into law days later. Juneteenth, a celebration of independence, the day all Americans were truly free.
And we continue to explore the rich history and significance of Juneteenth all day. Watch our Juneteenth special on WCNC Plus on tonight at 9 o'clock and 11:30. Make sure you download it to your TV and you can watch it for free.
In fact, we'll have coverage all day long right here on WCNC Plus about Juneteenth. Coming up in just about 20 minutes, just past 8:30, Destiny Richards is going to join us with a look at some of the big events happening here in the Charlotte area today to commemorate the holiday. Time now, though, for another check of your weather impact forecast. Here's Chris. Chris, you're tracking a severe weather risk for later on today.
And it's mainly in the afternoon, so if there's any Juneteenth events that are during the evening, it's a better chance of staying dry than what we have in the afternoon. But there is a little bit of hope. So right now, we have a low to a medium threat for severe storms, and I'm going to get right to it. Our threat really is all over the place, but here it is. I think it's really between about 1 to 2 that we see the first signs of storms, and then they're really starting to flourish by about the middle of the afternoon. 2 to 4, I think, is the best chance for storms right around the Charlotte area. Then everything starts to break up, and then by about 6 to 8 o'clock, this system's officially getting out of here. A cold front that follows this is actually great news for us. It'll try to trigger a few more storms heading into the evening, so there is a slight chance, even though this model didn't pick up on it, that we could have that as a possibility. And the backside of this will have much drier air and only spotty shower chances. But this could be a busted forecast, and let me explain. We actually have a decent looking line of thunderstorms and also some flash floods that are going on over in Tennessee, but this energy is diving down towards the south. So it's this area right here that would generate the storms for us. If this continues to move due south, before it was supposed to be more of a southeastern direction, that's actually going to take some energy away from us, so we're not going to see as much of a storm chance, and that's going to drag the trough a little bit further off towards the west. So this most recent model has changed up on us. Check it out. Seeing some showers and storms right along the mountains. You see it developing up in the high country, which is also known as orographic lifting. So sometimes the rise will allow for a storm or two, but we don't really have a lot. It actually kind of breaks up during the afternoon. So that mean line I was showing you actually doesn't pop up in this model. Now, it's not always that I really like to show you two different conflicting models. I'm just letting you know that things are kind of changing, and this one is picking up on that this could be a chance of, hey, you maybe see some darker clouds, but not as much as the storms. I still want to lean that you're going to have a better chance for storms really between that 2 to 8 time frame. So really just keep that in mind. Now, also you can see that we have breaking news that somebody is talking about the Israeli hospital that was hit as there continues to be turmoil over in Israel and then between Iran. Once this front is going to be passing, we are looking at a high pressure system that's going to take over our forecast. That's not always a good thing. That means lots of sunshine. Lots of sunshine will warm us up. Lots of sunshine, and that warmer day will kind of build on one another. So the lower 90s can turn into the mid 90s. And once we reach the mid 90s, that means that our lows are only dropping down to the mid 70s. That's a warmer start. So each day gets warmer, 92, 96, 97, even 98. So the upper 90s. And these days, factoring in the mugginess, will feel more like 100 plus to even 105. And that's where we're starting to get to that dangerous threshold and better chance for heat exhaustion if you overexert yourself. So that heat is starting to threaten some of those danger levels, so just already mentally prepare yourself ways to stay cool heading into next week. This would be truly our first big heat wave of the season, which, by the way, this weekend is the first weekend of summer. We officially have the summer solstice at 10:41 p.m. So stay cool, y'all. Let's head over to Majestic with traffic where people are likely going to have their ACs blaring.
Oh, it's going to be one of those days, or at least some windows rolled down if you don't have any AC. It's going to be hot. I know lots of people are out and about getting their morning walks and runs in, and lots of people out on their bikes as well. So make sure you're just keeping a mindful eye out on them as you're out on those roads trying to beat the heat. Here we go. Multiple things that are currently ongoing. Still following this, we have made some progress, though. It's this accident. It's on Independence in the Brookshire Freeway. We're seeing those backups still not nearly as bad as what they were about 5 to 10 minutes ago. But if you just don't even want to sit in any traffic, what you're going to want to do is head out towards Briar Creek Road just from Independence. Take that exit there and then just take 7th Street straight up. It'll get you right to where you need to be. And then this accident here, it's on Highway 24 and I-485, seeing some yellow indicating some medium to slow impacts at times, not seeing anything too significant. And then we're looking at W.T. Harris Boulevard and Denon Hills Drive, just seeing mainly a green right now. Not too concerned about that. We'll have another check on my maps coming up in just a few. Ben.
This is Larry Sprinkle. Time for On This Day in History. All relates to 1863 and Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. On this day in history, the year was 1865, June 19th, the Union Army arrived in the state of Texas, spreading the word of the Emancipation Proclamation. And by the way, interesting fact, June 3rd, 1979, Texas became the very first state to proclaim Juneteenth an official holiday. That's On This Day in History. Celebrate Juneteenth. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
And while it is a day of celebration, it's also a reminder that our beautiful country has an ugly past. The land of the free was built on the backs of enslaved folks.
Drew Wilder takes us inside the newest exhibit at George Washington's Mount Vernon, where people who were once treated like property will be remembered by name.
Their names are inscribed inside the walls they once called home. Tom Noakes, Vina, Barbara, grouped together by family on the walls of a building that was once a residence for enslaved people on the Mansion House farm of George Washington's Mount Vernon estate, part of a new permanent exhibit opening to the public on Juneteenth.
It's critical in America that we tell full stories of our heroes, without whom we wouldn't have a nation. But on the other hand, he wouldn't have been the man he was if he hadn't depended upon enslaved labor, and those people's lives were very important, and we can recover them in ways that you can't typically do on an 18th century plantation estate.
Including the family and life of Doll. Doll arrived at Mount Vernon in 1759 at the age of 38. She was the matriarch of a large family who Washington would enslave into various jobs across his 5 farms. In many cases, splitting up families and spreading them so far apart they would rarely be able to see each other.
Bringing out their individuality and their humanity is something critical for us to do in this exhibit, something so important to the descendants of enslaved people here who worked with me on this exhibit.
There are artifacts from digs, interactive media screens, and oral history interview clips that all round out the new exhibit called Lives Bound Together.
So it's an ongoing thing. This isn't something that you do once and then you're done. It's an effort really to always do research, always find ways to make the stories impactful for people, and to do it in a way that is responsible and helps people understand.
It's a hard story to tell, and perhaps an even more difficult story for some of us to hear. But it's the story of America, and it's getting a little more honest each time we tell it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here on WCNC Plus. Time now, 8:25 on the dot. Coming up in just a minute, Chris is going to have another check of your forecast. Majestic has a check of your morning commute. And we continue to keep live pictures there of a hospital in Israel, in the southern part of that country, hit in the early morning hours. We're going to watch this feed as it happens and keep you posted right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good morning, everybody. Our high temperatures today getting into the lower 90s, feeling like the mid to the upper 90s. It's gorgeous now, but more clouds will greet us a little bit later on in the afternoon. Not everyone will see storms, but those who do, it could pour on you, and there's even a chance for some gusty winds. I'm seeing the first signs of rain right around 1 o'clock. 2 to 8 o'clock is the general window I have across our entire viewing area for a chance for strong to severe thunderstorms. Really, it looks to be closer to about that 3 to 5 time frame that I think you have the strongest storms closer to the Charlotte area, even as early as 2. And then once you get to about 6 to 8 o'clock, we're saying goodbye to the storms, and this little system off towards the north will start to weaken as well as it works its way in. That's a cold front. That cold front's not really going to cool us down, but it will bring some slightly drier air. So tomorrow's the pick of the week because it feels the best. We have the lower 90s on Saturday, the mid 90s on Sunday, close to 100 degrees on Tuesday and Wednesday, feeling more like 100 to 105. Majestic, what's going on this morning?
All right, good Thursday morning, everyone. Let's take a live look outside. I-77, we're cranking up those temperatures, but thankfully we aren't cranking up what's going on in those area roadways too much. York County, good morning to you. We have a lot of minor incidents. The bigger one here up, but just actually moved and popped away, so that's good news for you. Might still see a few slowdowns on Independence, so just be mindful of that. Otherwise, we do have just this crash. It's on Highway 24 at I-485. Lots of green on the screen. It is a beautiful start to the day. I-77 there. We'll have more coming up on WCNC Plus coming up. Hope to see you then. Have a great day.
Good Thursday morning, and thank you so much for joining us live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Megan Bragg.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Today, communities across the country and here in Charlotte are expected to gather to celebrate and honor Juneteenth. The holiday celebrates the end of slavery here in the U.S.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning with a look at what's happening around our area as we celebrate this morning. Good morning, Destiny.
Good morning. Yeah, it's definitely a great day for celebrating Juneteenth. There are events happening all across the Charlotte region, and it's also a lot of unique events that are happening as well. Everything from history to art to just the community coming together. Here in Charlotte, there's an event that's going on in just a couple of hours, set to begin at noon in First Ward Park. It's hosted by the Charlotte-Mecklenburg NAACP. Then just a few blocks away, the Harvey B. Gantt Center is offering a full slate of indoor events. This includes live performances, family activities, and conversations on freedom and cultural expression. Surrounding towns are also joining in. Huntersville will host a block party this evening at Veterans Park. In Kannapolis, a festival at their own Veterans Park will lead into a Cannonballers game later tonight. And in Gastonia, a community celebration takes over Rotary Centennial Pavilion tonight, complete with food, music, and fireworks.
America has 2 Independence Days. It's not a made-up holiday. It's a real thing, and it affects real people. And so as a community, if we can honor the 4th of July, what's one more day to celebrate? It should bring us all together and help us know how important community and unity are in our society.
Yeah, and it's really true that there is something for everyone. I did want to mention at some point that I'm from Texas. My family, we knew about Juneteenth. I've known about Juneteenth since I was a little kid, but there are other people that don't know what it is. So whether you're like me and it's a day for celebrating or even resting and reflecting, it's also a day to get yourself immersed in education about what Juneteenth is all about. I grew up, thinking it was just like the 4th of July where people just, throw something on the grill, as it said, and do a cookout, or it's just a day to, take a step back and rest and reflect. So lots of different things that are going to be going on today, and really just choose what's best for you and your family.
Great perspective there from a native Texan. Destiny, understanding some folks do not have the day off, what are other ways, are there other events happening as we go into the weekend that people can take part in?
Yeah, of course. As we know, not everybody gets Juneteenth off, and there's stuff going on today, but there's also events happening tomorrow. I know that Waxhaw is having an event in their downtown park from 6 to 9. It is their 3rd annual Juneteenth event. And then this weekend, there's the Greenwood Classic, Greenwood Golf's 5th annual Juneteenth Classic. So lots of fairly new Juneteenth events happening across the area, across the country, really, as more people recognize the holiday. That event is in Matthews, and it's really just, widespread how many Juneteenth events are going on. So if you can't celebrate today, lots going on this weekend. We have all of this information on our WCNC Charlotte news app.
A lot of great events out there. All right, Destiny, thank you for that. Appreciate it. 8:33 now on WCNC Plus. Let's turn it back over to Chris. Chris, a hot day and a weather impact alert in effect for this afternoon.
Yeah, and it's mainly going to be a small window that a lot of us are going to be impacted. You're still going to see rain. You'll see the skies visibly change if you are going to get storms. This is one of those coverages that I think there's going to be a lot of breaks in this broken line. So some of us will get dumped on, while others just like, oh, I think it's going to storm, and it doesn't. 76 degrees right around Charlotte, 72 for you in Hickory, and then 69 around Boone. Upper level clouds starting to take over. Upper level clouds are often the precursor for something's coming, something's lurking. Time to be really, weather alert is going to be right about the middle of the afternoon. I have it pretty much after 2 o'clock for the Charlotte area and before 7. I think it's really that 2 to 6 time frame is going to be the best chance for storms or rain in general around Charlotte. And the lingering activity can last as late as 8 o'clock, say for Chesterfield over into Richmond and Anson County down towards the southeast. It's also going to be a breezy day regardless of any storms. Gusts as high as 25 miles per hour starting as early as 10 to noon. Winds out of the southwest also promoting a decent warm up. But today is going to be a breezy day outside of any storms. However, when the trees really start to sway and rock, let's say it's around 2 o'clock that a gusty winds really starts to, we see those bends maybe getting up to about 35, 40. That's likely the outflow boundary of an approaching thunderstorm or a line of thunderstorms. So that's the time for you to definitely be weather aware. Our severe weather risk is a near zero for tornadoes. Not really counting anything here. There's always a near zero chance in a situation like this, because if you have a bow echo, the ends of it can kind of create its own wind shear and a little flow there. But I think the biggest threat is going to be damaging winds. You have a low to a medium threat for all of us here, gusts up to 60, but a lot of special weather statements I think are going to be possible. That's where you have like a blue box that might outline on the radar with gusts up to about 40 to 50 miles per hour. Slight chance for a little bit of hail, but this is definitely the lowest threat of all besides the low threat for tornadoes. Here's a look at our futurecast. Seeing signs of storms as early as 1, 2 o'clock. This model really flourishes things right along I-85, and then it'll continue to push its way down towards the south. We see some of the worst storms really in between about 5 to 7, well east of the Charlotte area, and then by about 6 to 8, we're saying goodbye with a chance for maybe a leftover shower after the sun sets. But I am seeing a trend that this system over here in Tennessee is starting to drag the energy away from the storms that we would be seeing here. This happens all the time, that you have such a big system that if part of it it starts to veer down towards the south, we don't really get the collective energy as if it were to move down towards the east or the southeast. So this is something to mention that I think there might be a few more breaks heading in the middle of the afternoon. So don't be surprised if you don't have a storm, but there's still going to be some storms in the area. So there's indications that the coverage might not be as vast, but still the same timing, 2 to 8, is still going to be there for a storm, or if it's as widespread or not. As far as our feels like temperature, we have a dew point around 70. It feels a lot more humid today compared to it did yesterday. Yesterday was actually not too bad, and we didn't even get to 90 degrees. That was kind of a bust on our part, just because things didn't really line up to get up into the lower 90s, and the drier air was also a big factor of that. 97, I think, is the max of what we have here for today. 100 degrees, even a chance right around Lancaster and Sherrod. That's the real feel. Once a front clears overnight tonight, check this out. We're only feeling like the actual air temperature, either side of 90 degrees for the best feeling day of the week. That changes. All of your full forecasts coming up. But first, we have to hit the roads with Majestic Storm.
All right, grab those sunglasses. It is beautiful, and boy, it is going to be a warm one. Let's talk about what's going on across those area roadways. Few accidents I want to let you know about. First, I want to show you what I-77 looks like, especially if you're coming in from Huntersville out towards Mooresville. We do have our typical slowdowns there, but we're also following this accident here. It's a newer one. It's on Austin Crossing Drive at Reams Road, so not bringing any significant impacts, but that's one that I do have my eyes on. Another one here, it's a crash on Queens Road at Sealand Ave, so make sure you're just being mindful of that. This final one is on W.T. Harris Boulevard. You can see mainly green here, so again, not seeing any major impacts. Just take it slow as you're heading out the door. I-77 here. Coming in from York County, we'll have another check on those area roadways coming up here in a bit.
Majestic, thanks. 8:38 on WCNC Plus. Let's go back to breaking news we're following out of southern Israel, where a hospital there has been hit by, according to Israeli officials, by an Iranian missile. Let's take a listen to this.
We see the intelligence, and the intelligence tells us this is exactly what they want to do. And you know that Israel have quite a good intelligence.
BBC Persian. Yes. Sorry, can I ask you a question? I'm with the BBC Persian. Iranian watching this program. IDF has been warning Iranian people to evacuate the area, but you know internet hacking is restricted. People doesn't have any means to understand exactly when Israel hit the area. As you know, many of those facilities are surrounded by population. What do you do to avoid killing civilians?
When we look for the cameras, please. When we do something in civilian neighborhoods, as you saw during the last day, we announced time ahead for the safety of the civilian population. We don't have anything against the Iranian people.
But they have no.
We don't have anything against the Iranian people. We used to have great relations with the Iranian people and with Iran until 1979, until the Islamic Revolution. And I believe that someday in the future, we will have great relations with the people of Iran. We have a problem, a very serious problem. The whole region face this problem. The world order face this problem. We have a problem with the Iranian regime. It's a regime that spread terrorism, instability everywhere, and it is a very dangerous regime for Israel, for Middle Eastern countries, for Europe, and for the whole world. And this is the reason why you hear so many countries supporting Israeli actions these days. But I want to emphasize when we will, when we have these situations, we will take measures in order to reduce civilian casualties.
Reuters. I wanted to ask if Israel sees regime change in Iran as one of its goals, and do you have any indication as to why Soroka Hospital, also located next to Beersheba University, would be a target?
It is not, at least until now, one of the goals that the Security Cabinet had stated. The goals are connected to the nuclear program, to the ballistic missiles program, to the elimination program. This is the goals that was stated by the Security Cabinet. It can be a result, but it's not a goal for the time being. Maybe it will be changed in the future. For the time being, it was not set as a goal by the Security Cabinet.
And the proximity.
Last question. Yes, please. Last question.
From France, Israel is going to help to evacuate foreigners from your country.
Yeah.
How are you going to help them?
We help with that, and we are helping with that, and we have borders with Egypt and Jordan, and I know that foreign diplomats and other civilians went out from these borders, and we are helping. We are helping with that. Some of the ministers approached me, and we took steps in order to help these embassies to evacuate the workers.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You've been watching Israeli officials there talk about a hospital there in the southern city of Beersheba that's been hit by a missile in the early morning hours. Although the context here is important, folks, this comes as President Trump is actively considering what role the U.S. wants to take in the ongoing crisis there, a decision that according to sources, he's expected to make sometime in the next few days. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus throughout the day for the very latest in the crisis there in the Middle East.
Well, back here at home, city transportation leaders are mapping out some changes to your daily commute, including moving ahead with plans for toll lanes on I-77 south of Uptown. WCNC Charlotte's Siobhan Riley has the details and what leaders are asking for to make it all possible.
Leaders say the bottom line is they need more money for roads. Some say their biggest fear is spending billions of dollars on the I-77 South Express Lane project and nothing being done to address congestion. Recently, we told you NCDOT is moving forward with a public-private partnership to deliver the I-77 South Express lanes. This after finding toll expenses wouldn't cover enough of the cost. Transportation leaders saying this is one of the most expensive projects the state has considered, which would cost about $3.2 billion. The goal of the meeting to make sure they have the best outcome with I-77 South and making it accessible to lower-income residents.
As we look at toll rate caps, as I mentioned earlier, that's not something that's implemented on I-77 North. So that is a difference here. But as it would work is basically there are two levels of express lanes utilization that would be required prior to a developer being able to charge certain rates.
There are people out here who are struggling financially, who need help. Some people don't have almost any money to spare. I'm sure you're aware of that, and Charlotte has no shortage of poverty.
Mecklenburg County Commissioner Lee Altman said what she doesn't want to see happen is the same mistakes that impacted I-77 North. She mentioned how almost no one used the toll lanes because the toll was so high. The 2055 Metropolitan Transportation Plan was on the agenda as well. This is the draft project outlining hundreds of roads and transit projects to be prioritized over the next 30 years. They did announce that they will have a public comment section for that. To find out how you can participate in that public comment section, visit our website at WCNC.com. In Uptown, Siobhan Riley, WCNC Charlotte.
Meantime, a bill that could shape the future of transportation in Mecklenburg County is moving forward. House lawmakers voted to approve the PAVE Act yesterday with overwhelming support. The proposed plan would allow the Mecklenburg County Commission the option to put a 1-cent sales tax on the ballot for this year. If that is approved by voters, the money would be used to fund roads, rails, and buses.
It's not perfect, but it is a tremendous start, and we are in a very good place. This bill is extremely transformational for Mecklenburg and for these towns. We are doing something unique and innovative.
Now there is some frustration with the light rail not going to Matthews after being scrapped from the original plan, but representatives say it's a step in the right direction.
By the way, we're continuing to keep an eye on the situation there in Israel and the hospitals hit there, and that's why we're keeping up the live pictures there in the bottom right corner of your screen. We'll continue to keep it up over the next few minutes. In the meantime, right now, North Carolina ranking among the highest states in the country when it comes to folks who actually avoid going to the doctor because of the cost of it. Experts say before you face a big medical bill, it's always a good idea to know what your insurance can cover ahead of time so you don't get any surprises. Beyond that, they also suggest researching the financing plan that you want to use and then calculate what your payments are going to be going forward. We spoke with a financial expert yesterday right here on WCNC Plus. She had some tips to avoid medical debt down the road.
Beyond financing, what can people think about to prepare for unexpected expenses?
Well, I really love when people, save on a regular basis so that you can avoid taking on medical debt. We don't want that for anyone. So it's important to plan in advance. Maybe you want to take money out of your paycheck on a regular basis, and you can segregate different savings accounts. So, it's all fun and games to save for your vacation, but sometimes we don't always save for these medical things.
Well, the annual Dirty Dozen list is out with a few different items you may want to watch for. So what should you pay extra care to when picking through fruits and vegetables? I looked into the everyday impact this can have on your grocery trips.
Shopping for produce can be a gamble, especially when it comes to avoiding pesticides. The Environmental Working Group's so-called Dirty Dozen list for 2025 just dropped, and it reveals what produce had the highest levels of contamination. It's meant to provide tools to help you decide whether to buy organic for the fruits and vegetables families consume the most. According to the list, more than 90% of samples of a dozen fruits and vegetables tested positive for potentially harmful pesticide residues. Spinach topped this year's list with more pesticide residue by weight than any other produce tested. Also on the list, strawberries, collards, and grapes. Blackberries were new to the list this year, and potatoes joined the rankings after not making the list in recent years. This annual report also highlights the Clean 15, which are the produce that had the lowest amounts of pesticides. Topping that list is pineapple, followed by sweet corn and avocados. If you would like to check out the full list, head to our mobile app. Megan Bragg, WCNC Charlotte.
8:48 right now on WCNC Plus. And check this out. Overnight, SpaceX's Starship exploded in Texas during pre-flight preparation, sending that massive fireball into the sky. Check that out. Wow. Everybody's safe. No danger to nearby residents. SpaceX is working with local officials to investigate what went wrong. This, by the way, the second Starship explosion this year, the last one happening back just last month. All right, 8:49 now, turning back to Chris Mulcahy and what he's tracking for your Thursday.
Glad everyone's okay from the magnitude that was. And look at the magnitude of all this rain further off towards the west. We had a pretty decent line of storms. This is all associated with a storm system that gave a lot of wind damage up into Illinois. And what we're keeping an eye on is the regeneration of some showers and storms right along this line. We got a little trough that's nearby that things are going to start to trigger up along. But our weather alert forecast for today, it really opens up starting in the early afternoon. I think 2 o'clock, temperatures right around 90 degrees. Feel more like 96 to 97. As soon as we start getting the rain, temperatures starting to cool down through the 80s. So I have a high of 91. We did have about 92, 93. Don't think we're going to hit that today. So I actually did move our high temperatures down a little bit over the last few hours. And then by the time you get to the evening, it's still going to be pretty steamy. 83 feeling like 87, 79 still feeling like 83. So I think our main window of opportunity 2 to 8 across the entirety of our area. Here is a look at our futurecast. Check it out. First signs of storms right around 1 o'clock. Now, this is well to the northwest. I really want us to keep in mind that there's going to be some breaks along this line. Really, it's going to be a broken line that's going to be quickly developing, but not everyone is going to get a dose of those storms or just rain in general. Here's a better look between about 2 and 4. That's looking to be the best moment of opportunity that I think Charlotte's going to first start to see the rains from the storms. It's going to be a windy day regardless, gusts up to about 25 miles per hour. Technically, that's definition of a breezy day. And then once you get to about 3 to 5, we're starting to see still some lingering rain. I wouldn't be surprised to have some light to moderate rain that follows a line of storms. And then 4 to 6, 6 to 8, we're saying goodbye to those showers and storms. So this is mainly an afternoon event. Most of us are going to be good for the evening. However, there's a slight chance that right along the cold front that's going to really set us up for a great Friday. We could have a storm, but most likely I think it's going to be fading as it crosses the North Carolina mountains. So over the next 36 hours, we have that quick little spat of showers and storms across the midsection of the Carolinas. I think it gets much stronger, by the way, southeast of Charlotte. That's where I think that we have the heaviest rain, the best storm potential, and the most of the severe thunderstorm warnings to come from this. But once we get the cold front to clear, we are going to have a nice break from the mugginess. Tomorrow, it's going to be pretty close to the actual air temperature for what a real feel is. So I think a high of 90 will at most feel like 92. But meanwhile, 92 could feel as much as 98 on Saturday, and 96 could feel like the triple digits at one point during your Sunday afternoon. Each day, only about a 10% chance for rain. Beyond that, get ready for the first heat dome. Whenever this sets up, it's a big old high pressure system that's going to lock the heat at the surface and could make things dangerously hot. So be advised. As my graphics are trying to sort themselves out, we have the mid 90s on Sunday, mid to the upper 90s throughout next week. I'm talking about 96 to 98 degrees with a real feel as hot as 105. Stay cool and don't overexert yourself, y'all. And welcome to summer. Majestic, welcome to the morning commute. How is it?
You know, it is starting to calm down. A lot has been ongoing this morning. At least it's a beautiful start to your Thursday. Grab those sunglasses before you head out the door. I-77 here, not seeing anything too concerning. Good morning to everyone just waking up and joining us there from South Carolina. Let's bring it on back, though, up to I-77. Inbound lanes are a little congested, but, you know, we typically expect that still this time of the day. Watching this accident right here, it's on Austin Crossings Drive at Reams Road, so just be mindful of that. And then another one here, it seems like we're having a couple of problems. There's a crash on Queens Road and Selwyn Ave. You can see that yellow here, so just kind of those bumper-to-bumper accidents. None of this is impacting those major interstates at this time. I-77 out towards Lake Norman looks fantastic, doesn't it? A nice pool day or a lake day. We're looking at 26 minutes to get you from Belmont into Charlotte, and 28 if you're coming in from Gastonia. Sunglasses this morning, but windshield wipers by later in the afternoon and evening.
Well, a heartwarming development as a community rallies together to help the 3 children injured after a crash in Burke County. Last week, 3 girls at a lemonade stand were hit by a car. They now have a long road to recovery, but a local construction team installed a free wheelchair ramp for one of the young girls who was just released from the hospital. Annabelle will now have an easier time getting around while she recovers.
We didn't really know what we were going to do, how we could be involved, but then the fire department contacted us and said, hey, look, we need you. And we said, all right, well, let's do it. It's just a really good feeling for us knowing that we got to be a part of changing somebody's life.
Annabelle's mom says although she's glad her little girl is finally home, there's still a long road ahead. Teams will be out building another wheelchair ramp today.
More reason to be proud. A brand new report ranking the top cities in the entire world to live. And none of us are surprised our city made the list.
Woo! Woo!
Right. Charlotte ranking 50th in the world for most livable cities. That's a pretty good showing. There's a lot of cities in this world. The ranking based on factors like economic stability, education, infrastructure. The top 10 mainly went to European cities like Copenhagen, Denmark. That ranked number 1. Some other U.S. cities that made the list, we're in decent company. Honolulu, Hawaii, number 23 on the list for probably obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. Atlanta, number 29, which surprised some folks.
Everyone's like, nah.
I mean, it's a fine city. It's no Charlotte, North Carolina,
It's
though.
no Charlotte.
I'll tell you that much. All right, folks, keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to take a quick break. And then coming up at the top of the hour, Jane Monreal standing by over in our Live Impact News studio. She's going to be talking to the Better Business Bureau about phishing texts posing as the DMV, trying to scam you out of your money. She's got more on that. Plus, another check of your forecast and traffic come your way. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus and leave us on all day long.
Well, good morning, everybody. We are looking at a good chance for above average temperatures over the next several days. Keep that in mind. We also have a severe thunderstorm chance a little bit later on in the afternoon, and that's where we can have mainly a window of opportunity anytime between about 2 and 8 o'clock for those stronger storms. Gusty winds, heavy rain, and lightning will be the main possibilities. Tomorrow, actually the best feeling day. We take a big break from that muggy air. It's back before you know it, back on Saturday. Lower to the mid-90s this weekend, upper 90s next week, though. Majestic, what do we need to know about traffic so far this morning?
Well, it's beautiful outside, that's for sure. It's been actually relatively quiet. What we're watching, really, will be some minor accidents, not on the major interstates, though. Grab those sunglasses. It is a beautiful start to our Thursday morning, isn't it? Want to show you this one accident that I am following closely for you. It's right here just north of Charlotte. It's on Austin Crossings Drive and Reams Road. Just take it easy as you're heading out for your commute.